This video is going to be about the Texas Revolution. And before we get into the revolution, we have to understand why we're actually going to move over to Texas and actually revolt. In order for us to understand that, we have to understand why we're going to move west in the beginning, to begin with. And we're going to focus on specifically in the South. The southern states needed to move west. It wasn't because they woke up and was like, you know what, let's move west. It was really because they were depleting their soil for so much that they couldn't grow anything. So they had to move west. And when the whole Texas thing opens up, they shot at the chance and basically ran there for all the land. So to get some little background information, right now that we have is that Mexico is going to win their independence. Independence. Oops. From Spain in 1821. So Mexico's going to win their independence from Spain in 1821. When that happens, they have a giant chunk of land, and they need to spur some economy in there. And so what they're going to do is they're going to do something kind of risky. They're going to invite Americans into Texas to settle. Now, they have some rules, though. In order for them to settle, they had to convert to Roman Catholicism. They had to become Mexican citizens. And they had to... Sorry, I didn't know it was still going. And they had to, I lost my train of thought. Oh, they had to abolish slavery. Now, if we have southern plantation owners coming down or going west into Texas to settle because they lost the nutrition inside their soil over in the east, are they going to do any of that? Like true Americans that we are, we're just going to say no. And it's not like because we're big bullies and teenagers at this time, which we kind of are. We said no because at this time when we're moving into Texas, we start to find ourselves outnumbering the Mexicans who live there. They outnumber the Mexicans. And so when they're going to try to make us free our slaves, we're going to automatically going to want our independence. So if we can see that, settlers wanted their independence from Mexico. Now, we're not going to go in guns a-blazing yet. We're going to send petitions. And these petitions are signed by people who live there saying these are the reasons why we need to be independent and blah, 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 blah. Grant our independence. When that happens, the leader who had the petitions was arrested by Santa Anna, who was going to be the leader of Mexico at the time. He used to be a general. And he's going to run the country kind of like a Napoleon. He's not going to be obsessed with war and want to take it over. But if they're sending petitions to a general, is he going to take that very well? No. He's going to see it as a weak move, and both sides are going to call to arms. Meaning that they're both going to start getting ready for war, because Santa Anna believes the only way these petitioners and the settlers that are living in Texas are going to listen to him and do what he asks them to do is going to be through force. And your standards don't really want you to know a whole lot about the Texas Revolution, but there is one major battle that you need to probably know about, is the Battle of the Alamo. Now, the Alamo is going to be in a mission. It's a garrison. It's in Texas, and you can go visit today if you want to. And what's going to happen is Mexico's going to win. and Santa Anna wants to send a message. He's going to basically execute everyone inside that garrison to show a message saying, listen, we are a force to be reckoned with, and you need to actually do what we want you to do. But he thinks it's going to scare the settlers into not revolting anymore, but really it's just going to fuel the fire to want their independence even more. So even without Mexico's permission, the Texans are going to declare their independence anyway. And they're going to write their own constitution. Very similar to the U.S. Constitution. And they make sure that they have in big bold letters that they can have what? Slaves. And finally, what's going to happen is the Texans will capture Santa Anna, and he is going to be forced to sign the treaty that's going to grant Texas their independence, called the Treaty of Velasco, which will, the terms inside this treaty is that Texas gains their independence from Mexico. Basically. We just need to know that. Okay, so Texas is going to be independent from Mexico. Here's the problem, though. Mexico does not recognize this. Whoops. Because they said Santa Anna signed it under duress, and that's not a treaty. Oh, okay, so Texas is independent from Mexico, and that the border, this is going to be you should hear ominous music here because this is going to be a cause to another war. The border is going to be along the Grande River. So Texas is going to establish the Rio Grande River as the border between Mexico and the United States, and that is a huge chunk of land. So real quick review for Texas Revolution. Mexico's going to win their independence. They're going to invite Americans in. The Americans, according to the Mexicans, Americans have to convert to Roman Catholicism, become Mexican citizens, and abolish slavery. The settlers are going to say, absolutely not, sorry. And they can say that because they feel like they outnumber the Mexicans, and we should be independent anyway. Most of the Americans were living there, and very little Mexicans. So they're going to send petitions. Their leader who has a petition is going to get arrested by Santa Anna. Both sides are going to call to arms. They're going to come to a battle at the Alamo. Mexico will win and basically slaughter everyone there to send a message, hoping that scares the people, but instead of it entices a battle cry of remember the Alamo. Texas is going to declare independence anyway without Mexico's approval. Very similar to the United States' Constitution is what they're going to write. And then Santa Anna is going to get captured and forced to sign the Treaty of Velasco, which grants Texas their independence from Mexico, creates the border of the Rio Grande River between Mexico and the United States. And Mexico is not going to recognize this. This is going to be a cause for the Mexican-American War.